Hey guys, what is up? This is Cody, or xCodeh. How's it going today? Hopefully everybody watching this video is having yourself a snazzy day. Let me know in the comments down below where you're watching the video from, inside or outside of the United States. I always love to know. On today's video, I have a life story to tell you guys about one of the first times I ever bought acid, and I was in this super shitty situation. Cops were there, almost got searched. Terrible. But before we get into that, be sure to subscribe with the notifications on and leave a like if you guys enjoy. So this story takes place when I was younger than I should have been. I think I was maybe 14 years old. This is probably around a couple weeks to a month after the first time I ever did acid. And I was really excited about it because it was mind-blowing. And I wanted to share this experience with all of my close friends. I was hyping it up ever since I did it to my friends. They really wanted to do it, and I finally managed to talk to the person that I did it with, and I was able to buy some. Probably the sketchiest drug deal I've ever done. I ended up driving way out to this super secluded state park where you gotta drive through this dirt path on this windy road, and you end up in this parking lot by a river, and it's super dark. It's nightmare situation for buying drugs. It just wasn't good. We pull up and there's just a couple hippies chilling around a picnic table smoking weed, which was chill. I mean, what's not chill about that? But I remember I was so young that they were just wait in the car, dude, give me your money. And to be fair, I don't think I'd bring a 14-year-old to an acid deal ever. That just sounds ridiculous. But either way, the mission was a success. It even looked like the same exact stuff that I had had previously, so when I saw it, I was super hyped. I remember they handed it to me, and it was just in some loose tin foil, and I'm like, do you have anything to hold this in? And they're like, you didn't bring anything? And my really good friend that set the whole thing up, was hooking me up, was like, all right, I'm gonna give you this little metal case, but I need you to give this back to me. Don't lose this. It was one of those pill case keychains that some people have on their keychain, where it's just a metal cylinder that you can unscrew and put a couple pills in there. At least I think that's what they're actually used for, but that's what people use them for. So they're giving me a ride back to my group of friends that's patiently waiting by one of the spots where we used to hang out all the time and just drink Arizona iced teas and smoke cigarettes outside of a gas station or a convenience store. Great times, I have to say. And I'm sure my friends dropping me off are just making bets with themselves as soon as I step out of the car, how much you want to bet he's going to get arrested, or how much you going to bet he's going to freak out. Honestly, man, this was wild for me to even want to do this. But I remember getting out of the car, meeting up with my group of friends, and I go over to them and I'm like, dude, we sketchily all go over to the bike path, go into the woods a little bit. I take it out of my backpack, unscrew the little thing, and they're like, oh shit, there it is, oh shit. It was the first time they had ever seen it, and one of the first times I had ever seen it. The only other time I saw it was when I actually did it, and I saw it for a split second. He took it out, cut a piece, and was about to hand it to me. I held my hand out, and he was like, no, just open your mouth, and put it right in. So I didn't have time to visibly see it, other than it was a white and black piece of paper. It kind of looked almost like if you had a receipt and it got wet and all the ink kind of faded a little bit. So we have a plan that we're going to go back to my friend's house later that night and do the acid. But we have a couple hours before we can get a ride over to my friend's house to get that adventure started. And as usual, at least one of us had weed on us, so we decided to venture off to the lake spot. Here's what it looks like, if you were wondering. That beach spot, and in the woods near that beach spot, is where many, many stories have happened. And we're about halfway to this spot on the bike path, and what do we see in the distance? A mirage across the sunset. We see a group of kids that we also know coming on the opposite side of the bike path, but every 20 or 30 feet, they're stopping, and on both sides of the bike path, there are these wooden structures that are kind of just railings, so you don't fall over on the sides, because some points of the bike path, if you were to topple over, you'd probably fall down 10 or 20 feet, and that would be a shitty day. You wouldn't die, it would just be a shitty day. And it just kind of looks nice. I guess you could call it driftwood aesthetic, railings across the entire bike path. And every 20 or 30 feet, these jabronis jumping up on the top rope, got two hands on top, and then just swing their feet up and then just stomp their feet down. So the bottom half of the railing would just crush like this. And we see them from a distance doing this. And listen, I can't say that me and my friends haven't partaked in this activity once or twice before, but we didn't do it often. And we see them doing this, And we just start laughing and we like run up to them because we know who they are, like as they get a little bit closer. And keep in mind, this is the middle of the day, probably fucking 3, 4 p.m. And believe it or not, you'd think that most people are at work on like a weekday, 3, 4 p.m., if not like about to commute home. No. Listen, my town is just biker central. A biker city. At all times of the year, at all times of the day, even at night, running, biking on the bike path. Even during the winter, I see people running on the bike path. So as they're stomping down on these fences, there's bikers going by like, yo, what are you doing? Like as they're going by, like, what are you doing? Keep in mind, we're like, what, 14, 15? Some of the people there are probably like a little younger. They're all saying shit back like, yeah, fuck you. Because most of us there had skateboards and the bikers of the town automatically don't like the skateboarders. And then on top of it, we're fucking up one of the only cool things the bikers got, the cool looking aesthetic bike path. But I remember it got to a point where we're all in one group and like they were continually doing it. And one of the people from our group, I don't know if it was me or someone there, we were basically like, dude, calm down. You've done enough. Like someone's going to call the cops on us or something. And what happens? What happened? A little foreshadowing action for you right there. We get about like another half mile down the bike path. It's where the bike path is right next to a bunch of businesses and a big parking lot. And, you know, big parking lot, big police officer rolls up, parks sideways right at the entrance to the bike path, essentially waiting for us. A lot like the story of when I skipped school and ran from the police. Instead of actively hunting us down, they just decided to have one officer wait at the end of the bike path for us to just finish walking there. And it worked out for them, right? That's how we got caught. Anyways, you know, the cop gets out of the car, hands on his hip, you know, intimidation style, walks over to us like, we have a report of someone vandalizing the bike path fence. And I'm not having any of this, okay? I'm trying to look as inconspicuous, as small as possible, all right? I'm not even there. I'm just in the background. I'm one of the background characters of this situation. Because for once in my damn life, I didn't do what they're there for, okay? I wasn't partaking. We hadn't smoked weed yet. We didn't smell like weed. There's none of that. Well, maybe I had a bowl in my pocket, but there was no active marijuana, all right, in the air. There was none of it. So we're all just standing there as the police officers questioning us one by one. Who broke the fence? If you look 500 feet that way, you can see a bunch of broken fences, and that's the direction we're coming in. So clearly, if you put 2 and 2 together, we're guilty. Or at least one of us is. And you know, I'm looking around, and the dude who was busting the fences up is gone. He's fucking vanished. David Blaine style, not there anymore. And now this is where I start to get a little shook in my boots, because one of the police officers there knew who I was. He was one of the ones that hung around the school a lot, you know, in the across the street spot, and he'd always harass us because he damn well knew we went over there to buy weed and smoke weed after school. So he just it was like fish in a barrel for him. So I'm shook at this point. The person who had committed the crime wasn't there at this point. I have fucking acid in my backpack. None of my friends were good at talking to police officers. And I'm sitting there just like, I don't know what to fucking do. We're all just sitting there denying doing any of it, but they know someone did it, so they're trying to get someone to admit that they did it. And now I'm gonna be real with you. I'm gonna be real. I don't think it was me, but one of the friends in my friends group, he spilled the beans. He spilled them. He didn't say names, but he said someone with blonde hair went that way. Someone saw him run that way, gave him the general direction. And I'm thinking to myself, 2 and 2 together, all right, in my head. A lot of 2 and 2s on this video today. Listen, I'm putting it together in my head. Analysis. I'm thinking that we could lead the cops away from us. We're good, and they're not even gonna find the other people, and we're all fucking chilling. So I'm like, yeah, I think we saw a couple kids go that way. It must have been them. It wasn't us, though. We wouldn't do something like that. So we all just switch over to the person who did it went that way, went further down the bike path. And I think that's what they ended up doing. They must have seen the police officers roll up and immediately book behind us, hide in the woods for a second, and then scurry their way up the bike path. Like, the bike path was kind of level and there was like hills going up on both sides before this parking lot. So they must have been hiding up on the hill and they must have backtracked back to the previous parking lot or something. And we're all just sticking to this. Like, yeah, it was them and they're back on the bike path. It wasn't us. And I think they believe us. I think deep down they actually believe us, But of course, before they leave, most of them left to go to that other parking lot to verify. 1 or 2 of them stayed by, because at this point, there's 3 or 4 police officers in the parking lot. My town is just notorious for having an unlimited amount of cops, all right? If you do something, backup is like 5 cops. Traffic stop, you got 3 cops behind you. We're almost home free, scotch free. There's 1 more cop, one more level. We completed the side quests. We're on the final part, the final stretch. And this is the part I was worried about. The cop veers his attention right to me and is like, oh, so Cody, you smoking weed today? You got a bowl on you or something? Looking down at my pockets to see if there's any bulge action or anything. And of course we hit him with the, oh, no, of course not. Not today. No, we're not doing that. Nope, nothing like that. And they had no reason to search us or anything. Like I said, they didn't catch us smoking. We didn't smell like weed that I knew of, at least. And they let us go. All right, they let us go, but you could tell they were all going right to that other parking lot. As soon as they left, right on the skateboards, fucking zooming right to the lake. Fast as I fucking could, dude. My heart was racing that entire time like you would not fucking believe. The anxiety of thinking I'm gonna get arrested with just like this crazy substance. This isn't fucking weed. You get caught with this, you're going to fucking jail. Like, there's no ticket for that. Fucking felony, I'm pretty sure. Imagine that, huh? Felon before I'm even 16. Now, I'm sure you're thinking, I'm sure you're wondering. I can sense the worry in your aura, okay? Hold the phone. What happened to this kid? We ratted on him, essentially. Listen, I just want to reiterate that I didn't start that, okay? I just rolled with the punches, all right? Someone started the snowball. I made the snowman. You catch my drift? I'm no fucking rat, alright? Don't talk to cops. They did end up catching up with him. I think the blonde hair piece really caught up to him, because this guy was like beach blonde, and he was shivered in his boots when they showed up because he ended up getting some community service or something like that. I don't know what he ended up having to do, but I remember he got in trouble and he blamed us for ratting on him. But the moral of the story is to don't hang out with jabronis. If you see a jabroni manifestation happening, you should exit the building, exit the scenario. You're gonna want to go back to your previous load save. And that was the first time I ever bought acid, then almost got framed for vandalism, which would have led to felony arrests. I hope you guys have never been in a situation like this. Huge thank you to everybody supporting me on Patreon. I'll put a list of all the names on screen right now. For $1 or $2 a month, you can support the channel and get access to the secret, unlisted videos that I've been making over on Patreon. Link in the description for more information. And I'm sure you're also wondering, deep down, how was the acid trip? I'm leaving you hanging right off the cliff. Cliffhanger. Gonna save that tale for the next vid. And I hope to see you guys there. Stay high, stay lifted, and stay snazzy. Follow my cat on Instagram.